Want to know why? Ask how. Howard the Humongous. Donald Trump is using everything he can think of to keep a basic fact out of the news. Of all the leaders in the world's 195 nations, Donald Trump has done the worst job of handling COVID-19. He has botched everything. In his taped conversations with ace journalist Bob Woodward for Woodward's next book, Rage, Donald Trump gave himself an A+ on his COVID leadership. Then he repeated that A+ self-evaluation Monday, September 21st on Fox and Friends. But here are the facts that Donald Trump does not want you to know. Under Donald Trump's leadership, America has had more deaths from COVID-19 than any other country on earth. We've had more coronavirus deaths than England, France, Germany, Spain, and Italy combined. To put it differently, we've had more deaths than all of Asia and Africa combined. Yes, Donald Trump has brought us more coronavirus deaths than two entire continents combined. Continents with a total of 103 countries. Which means that of the world's 195 leaders, Donald Trump has done the worst job of handling the coronavirus crisis. The worst. That makes his mark an F+, not an A+. Laura Ingraham on Fox TV likes to say that the coronavirus is just like any cold or flu, and that we should keep plugging ahead. That view is popular in the Trump community. But the coronavirus has now killed off more people than the common flu, auto accidents, household accidents, and murders combined. In fact, COVID-19 has killed close to twice as many people as these combined scourges. In August 2020, Donald Trump told Bob Woodward on tape that there was no more he could have done to stop the COVID-19 pandemic. He was wrong. If Donald Trump had followed the example of South Korea's President Moon Jae-in, we'd have had fewer than 2,400 deaths by now. Moon Jae-in called in the heads of his top drug companies on January 27th at the very first hint of the coronavirus pandemic and ordered them to drop everything and concentrate on mass-producing tests for the coronavirus. Then he had his citizens tested and isolated, every one of them who had COVID-19. Meanwhile, he had all the contacts of the infected citizens traced and tested and isolated, all of them who were infectious. The result is that South Korea has had 395 deaths to date. We have had over 205,000. South Korea's population is 1/6 that of the United States. So if we had had South Korea's success rate, we would have had a mere 2,370 deaths by now. Instead, we've had over 205,000. So Donald Trump has personally been responsible for the deaths of more than 200,000 Americans. Let me repeat that. Donald Trump has killed over 200,000 Americans. In other words, Donald Trump has caused more American deaths than the First World War, the Korean War, the Vietnam War, the Iraq War, and the war in Afghanistan combined. Donald Trump's insane bungling of the COVID-19 crisis has produced more American deaths than all the wars of the 20th century combined. Yes, all the wars of the 20th century combined. That's negligent homicide. If you think that South Korea's death rate from COVID-19 is low, look at Singapore's. To date, Singapore has had only 27 deaths. That's what effective leadership can achieve. The result is that Donald Trump has destroyed our standing in the eyes of other nations. A new Pew survey shows, in the words of Pew's headline, that the U.S. image has plummeted internationally. Why? Because most countries say we've handled the coronavirus badly, and another Pew headline explains even more. Trump, it says, is less trusted than the leaders of Germany, France, UK, Russia, and China. Yes, Donald Trump is not making America great again. He is making America insignificant. For the first time since 1898, Trump is making America a laughingstock. At best, other nations piteous. In other words, Donald Trump is making America small again. But that's not all that Donald Trump does not want you to know. It looks like Trump may have trouble winning the popular vote in the upcoming November election. Joe Biden has been ahead of President Trump in almost every poll taken in the last 5 months. As of today, Biden edges out Trump by 7 points in the CNN poll of polls, a poll that averages the results of all the major national polls. However, the Atlantic magazine reports that the Trump campaign has a way to win even if President Trump loses in the popular vote. Here's how it works. There was no such thing as a popular vote back in 1787 when the Constitution was written. So the Constitution says that the president is elected by a group of electors, a group that we call the Electoral College. That's the group that put Donald Trump in office in 2016, despite the fact that Trump lost the certified vote count by over 2.8 million. But here's the trick. According to the Constitution, the electors in the Electoral College do not have to be chosen by a popular vote. In fact, when it comes to choosing electors, the Constitution says it can be done whatever way a state legislature dreams up. Meanwhile, inside sources have told The Atlantic that the Trump campaign is setting up contingency plans to keep Donald Trump in the White House even if he loses. In those plans, the state legislatures, controlled by Republicans, will declare that the popular vote in their state has been marred by fraud. Then the legislatures will say that to correct this condition, the legislatures will appoint Electoral College members themselves. Yes, picking the electors themselves is something the Constitution says that state legislatures can do. Since 29 of those legislatures are Republican and only 19 are Democratic, the Republican legislatures will pick electors who will vote for Donald Trump, and Donald Trump will win. How will the legislatures justify this? The president is doing the groundwork for them. He says that if he loses, it will be because of, quote, the greatest election disaster in history, close quote. He tells his rallygoers that foreign governments and states with Democratic governors are sending out millions of mail-in ballots to drown America in fraudulent votes. Trump's chief of staff, Mark Meadows, calls this a perversion of the electoral process. And Trump calls it a hoax. And it is a hoax. But the hoaxer is not the Democratic Party, it is Donald Trump. Every indication is that these claims of fraudulent mail-in ballots are untrue, bizarrely false, a lie, an utter fantasy. To soften up his Democratic enemy even more, the president is making states with Democratic governors look illegitimate. He has singled out 3 anarchist cities, places where he says that subversive Democrats are encouraging arson, vandalism, and chaos. These 3 are Seattle, Portland, and my home, New York City. In my city, there is no arson, no vandalism, and no chaos. Trump is trying his best to panic us. He believes that the nightmare of our cities burning will win him votes. If the Atlantic magazine's report is true, President Donald Trump is laying the groundwork for a takeover of the election by the 29 state legislatures controlled by his party. And the biggest problem will be that this attempt to overturn the popular vote will be entirely constitutional. But that's not all. In case the state legislature ploy fails, Trump has a backup. If he loses, he will repeat that the election results are a hoax, will take the election to court, and will try to get it up to the Supreme Court, where he will have 3 judges he personally has put in power, judges to whom he can make schmoozy phone calls, calling on the judges' loyalty. That's why Trump is so eager to replace Ruth Bader Ginsburg by the end of October, the month before the election. To top it all off, one of the many publications in the Trump press, World News Daily, is trying to delegitimate Joe Biden by declaring that he is a Trojan horse puppeteered by radical Marxists who want to end the freedoms of our country. And Trump's TV ads say that Biden is also a puppet of China. As one of Trump's ads puts it, quote, China and Iran would prefer Joe Biden, close quote. But the fact is that Russia would prefer Donald Trump. The head of the FBI, Christopher Wray, confirmed this in testimony before the House Homeland Security Committee on September 17th. Why is Russia so eager to keep Trump in power? Because Trump is an outright puppet of Vladimir Putin. He has weakened NATO, withdrawn 9,500 troops from Germany, and handed Kurdistan in the Middle East to Putin on a platter. Con Man Don is a Trojan horse for Russia's Foreign Intelligence Service, an agency that's hacking this country to pieces to remove it from the great power game and to give Russia free rein. That's treason. It is hard to tell which is Donald Trump's greatest crime: the negligent homicide of more than 200,000 Americans, Trump's treasonous allegiance to the head of an enemy nation, or the attempted destruction of America's democracy. But one way or another, there's a simple bottom line. You and I must vote, and Donald Trump must go. This is Howard Bloom, speaking to you from the future. It's your job and my job to make. Or, want to know why? Ask how. And now for that simpleton, sleazy, slimy, sneaky little off button. I think I found it.